All right, so this is going to be our last lecture on truth tables, part 3. And we're not actually going to sort of learn anything new. We're just going to expand on what we talked about last time and the examples that we've been doing. And basically, I'm going to expand a little bit so that I can give you tougher problems. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So we've seen all these examples where I give you an A and a B. I give you two simple statements here. And we've always started off with A, B. You've got the rest of the table over there. All that fun stuff. And we've started off with true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. And you might have memorized this, but TTFF, TFTF, all that stuff. I don't care however you memorize that is fine with me. But if we start off with 3 simple statements, we have a lot more combinations of things. Think about if you flipped a coin, you can get heads or tails, right? So if you flip that coin once, there's 2 outcomes, heads or tails. If you flip that coin twice, then there's 4 outcomes. Or excuse me. If you flip 2 coins, then there's 4 outcomes. I was saying that wrong. So if you flip 1 coin, you get a heads or a tails. There's 2 chances. There's 2 choices. If you flip 2 coins, then you can get a heads and a heads. You can get a heads and a tails. You can get a tails and a heads. You can get a tails and a tails. If you flip 3 coins, there's a whole lot of combinations here. You could get 3 heads. You could get 2 heads. You could get 1 head. You could get 0 heads. You could have a bunch of tails. You could have no tails, right? There's a whole bunch of combinations there. And these right here are basically all of these combinations, right? So what you'll notice is that I start off with TTT, and then I just change to TTF, and then I keep with 2 T's, and I put an F there. So I have 2 T's there, but then I have 1 T. I'm kind of rambling purposely to make this seem like it doesn't seem like there's a pattern. Now I'm going to show you the pattern. The pattern here is that the B and C columns, they look exactly like the regular columns that we've seen before when you have 2 statements, and there's just 2 of them stacked on top of each other. And then as they're stacked on top of each other, you then have T's in front of one of them and F's in front of the other. And so that's going to give us our starting point for these truth tables when you have 3 simple statements put together. So let's do an example. We're going to make a truth table for A and B, and then all of that, or C. And remember, this is good that I have the parentheses here, because otherwise we would kind of be stuck as far as our order of operations went. We wouldn't know what to do. So let's go here. Let's start off with an A, a B, and a C. And the question we want to ask ourselves is, okay, what the heck values do I put here? Well, like I said, you can remember that I do TT, TF, FT, FF. That's our standard, 2 statement table. We're going to copy it again. Squeezing it in there. And then all I do is I just put trues in front of the first one, the first sort of table, if you will, for the first 4. And I put falses after that. Well, now we need to first find A and B, right? Because that's this sort of section here, that's this portion of this compound statement. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's find A and B. You'll notice I don't even care about column C here. I'm not even looking at it. I'm just doing A and B. Well, true and true, that yields a true right there. Again, true and true yields true. True and false, and actually you can see there's 2 of them in a row. True and false, those yield false. False and true for these 2 rows, those yield falses when you're doing an and. And then false and false for both of these rows, those yield false, because we're looking at an and. So you're probably looking at your and table as I'm doing that. Now we've got A and B. We've got that guy that we've already figured out, and we're going to OR it with C. So now I don't even care about these two columns anymore. I don't need them. I'm just looking at this column or this column. And remember with an OR, just to keep things a little simple on our end, if there's a true, then I'm good. The OR works if at least one of them is true. So right off the bat, I'm just going to look here. Hey, there's a true. There's a true. So here's some trues. We know it. I don't even have to look at C. You can tell that, hey, both are true, so the OR is true. False or true? Oh, well, one of them is true, so that works. Same thing here. This is a true or a false, so it's true because at least part of it is true because we're dealing with an OR. Here I've got false and false. Excuse me, false or false. I said false and false. I meant to say false or false. Both are false, so the OR doesn't work. I can go down the line, and I can keep filling this in here, and we get our value here, right? We get our truth table here. So again, this compound statement takes on these true or false values, depending on whether A, B, and C are true or false collectively. We don't know whether A, B, and C are true or whether they're false, but we've got all the options here. We've got all of our bases covered, if you will. And that's actually it. That's really just it. The big thing I just wanted to point out was, what do we do if we start off with A, B, and C? In theory, I could even start off with A, B, C, and D, and you'd have even more combinations, but we won't bother with that. So that's actually it for wrapping up truth tables. We'll move on into different types of statements that you can talk about, and we'll get into how to do some arguments in a mathematical sense. So we'll move on to all that, and that's it for this lecture.